This is group 5 final semester project, and we are following up on our project from midterm. This project was to do with sentiment analysis from a database of Amazon Fine Food Review. The group members are Amoga Hassan, Tommy Pranata, Boy Anvu, Madhi Yusuf, and Julius Hayoseputro. Next. So, like I said, the database we have is from Amazon Food Reviews. So we looked at database whereby everyone who uses any service always tries to write a comment, good or bad, about the service they have used. And in this case, for the Amazon database, it was mainly about food. And this database had different people having eaten and commented and written good value comments or bad comments about what they have eaten. Next. Therefore, to look back at what the COVID-19 pandemic has pushed all services into, it has reduced face-to-face contact. And this hasn't only affected only normal work areas, but has affected even how services are delivered, including food reviews, for instance. And from the food reviews, most services have been changed and made to work online. To make a decision about what to use or buy or what to eat, you're going to have to look at the reviews other users have made about the product you're interested in. And actually, from reviews, it has shown that 90% customers who use online services are influenced. Their decision is influenced by the comments which are left by other users. And on the side of the business, for instance, for the side of the person who is selling the food in this case, it shows that 18% sales are influenced by reviews. And it has also been shown statistically that 31% more of the business is followed up by clients because of the reviews. Therefore, this group, as the group, we set out to apply the knowledge we have in class of big data analysis onto this big data set from Amazon Food Reviews, so that we look at the comments in the database, look at the words in the database of the reviews, try to get the words from the reviews and attach a value. We try to attach a value onto these. Try to attach a value onto these comments, and in this way it can help a client or a user know how good or how bad people have liked service. So the next slide, we're going to deal with the objectives of the project.
Now we go to the objective and the exploratory data analysis part of our final project. In this final term, we perform the dataset cleaning and pre-processing, where we separate the negative, neutral, and positive sentiment based on score and review text, and then we process the positive, neutral, and negative text into a token list. And we also perform the token list cleaning and pre-processing. So the token list only contains specific information. And we also perform a machine learning process on the dataset. We use three methodologies. They are net bias, random forest, and logistic regression, which will be explained more detail later. We also did a little bit data visualization called word graph on the common words in its class. Then after we perform some expecting insight on the midterm, we find out some issues to analyze. What are those? Those could be seen from three extracting insight that we got on the lecture. First one, basic statistics of the score. Second one is distribution of score. And the other one is annual effort score in the next slide. Let's see one by one. Firstly, based on the statistical index of score, as shown in exception insight 1, the effort score of Amazon Fine Food is 4.179 of 5. That means overall Amazon Fine Food did a good job and has a good performance. And also customer tends to be happy and satisfied with the product that they bought as shown in the accepting insight 2. Total 77.9%. Customers gave a score of 4 and 5. However, in the accepting insight 2, we can also see that there are customers who gave a bad score. Score 1 is 9.2% and score 2 is 5.2%. So the total bad score is 14.5%. So this 14.5% caused the effort score put down or skewed to the left side, which is the lower score side. Therefore, this data has a negative skewness. Moreover, the annual effort score in the accepting insight 5 is decreasing every year, which means the performance and the customer satisfaction are also getting lower every year. Therefore, in order to know the causes and reasons of the decrement and why the customer gave Amazon Fine Food bad score, we perform a machine learning on the dataset called sentiment analysis, which will be explained more detail later.
In the section of methodologies, I will introduce to you three kinds of classifiers that we have used in the project. The first one is a Navy-based. The second one is a logistic regression, and the last one is a random forest classifier. We have done the implementation and comparison for three classifiers. The first one is a Navy base. This is a classification technique based on Bayes' theorem with an assumption that a particular feature in a class is unrelated to any other features. It is easy to build and it is useful for large datasets. So here is an equation of the Navy base. So the BCX is a posterior probability of the class C's target given the predictor X attributes, and the PC is a prior probability of class. The BXC is a likelihood, which is the probability of the predictor given class. And finally, the PX is a prior probability of predictor. So the Navy base technique it does not require the training process, but it requires a high quality of training dataset. So the second one is a logistic regression classifier. It is a supervised statistical technique to find the probability of classes using independent variables to predict dependent variable. Logistic regression is a statistical model that uses logistic function to model the conditional probabilities. This is quite similar to the linear regression but uses the sigmoid activation function. So the output out of the model, the value will be in the range from 0 to 1. So here is the equations for the sigmoid activated functions. Lastly, the final classifier that we use in this project is random forest. This is a supervised learning algorithm used for both classification and regressions. A forest is comprised of trees. So look at the diagram on the right. So here is the steps of a random forest. The first step is to select a random samples from a given dataset. And after that, in the second step, we will construct a decision tree for each sample and get a prediction results from each tree. And after that, we will do the votes for each results that we have in the second stage. And finally, we will select the highest vote as the final predictions. So so there are three classifiers that we have used for this project. So we will now move to the next section.
Okay, I will continue my part. In this slide, I would like to explain about the flow diagram in this project. Overall, we have 10 steps in this project, and the first step is input Amazon dataset. This project uses input from the Amazon dataset, which has 10 columns and 168,454 data. Therefore, the CSV file will have proceeded as the input in this project. Then the next step is the data cleaning is carried out from the CSV file, such as deleting the duplicate data and missing values using the pandas library. From this process, the percentage of data that have been removed approximately of 30.7%. And then on the next step is about the data analysis. In this part, we want to visualize the score distribution to know how the distribution of the score in whole data in this dataset. The outputs of this step are sum of graph and table distribution of score. We use one of the library, here the matplotlib library. After we visualize about the score distribution, and the next step, we classify the polarity in this data, and we separate it into three classes. They are positive, negative, and neutral. After the data classified into three classes, that process in the previous step. Next, we clean the data using the regular expression. There are 5 steps in the regular expression that we use in this project. First, we remove all the special characters from the dataset. The regular expression that we use, as you can see on the screen, in number 1. We remove all the single character left as a result of removing the special characters using the second regular expression. However, if we replace all single character with space, multiple space are created. Therefore, we replace all multiple spaces with single spaces using this regular expression. Furthermore, if the text strings is in bytes format, a character B is appended with the string. So we using the regular expression in number 4 to process this process. Finally, the text is converted into lowercase using the lower function. Okay, after the data clean using the regular expression, the next step we want to implement the statistical algorithm using mathematics to train our model in this project. However, as you know, mathematics only works with numbers. To make statistical algorithm work with text, we first have to convert text to numbers. In this step, we use the DF-IDF approach. Yeah, the idea behind the DF-IDF approach is that the words that occur less in all documents and more in individual document contributed more toward classification. Yeah, as you know, DF-IDF is a combination of two terms. First, the DF is the term frequency, which is the number of times a word appears in a document divided by total number of words in the document. Second, the inverse document IDF or the inverse document frequency or IDF, which is the log of the number of documents divided by the number of documents that contains the word. Inverse data frequency or IDF determines the weight of rare word across all documents in the corpus. In this step, we use scikit-learn library to implement the IDF. Okay, after the data converted into the numeric form, the next step before we train our algorithm, we need to divide our data into training and testing sets. The training will be used to train the algorithm, while the test set will be used to evaluate the machine learning model performance. In this step, we use function train test split with sklearn. Then, once data is split into training and test set, machine learning algorithm can learn from the training data. Yeah, in this case, we use three algorithms, which are the random forest, logistic regression, and the Gaussian phase that already explained in the previous slide. Okay, then here the output of this project is a model to classify the sentiment of the sentences, whether positive, neutral, or negative. Once the model has been trained, the last step in this project is to make prediction on the model. We need to call the predict method on the object of the method class that we use for training to do so. And finally, to evaluate the performance of machine learning model that we use classification metrics such as a confusion matrix, F1 measure, and accuracy. In this step or in this project, we use classification report, confusion metric, and accuracy score utilities from the sklearn metric library. Okay, overall, here the flowchart of our project. As I mentioned before, there are 10 steps to do our project. Okay, then the next slide will be explained about the result and discussion of our project.
Okay, my name is Mahdi Yusuf and I will present the result of our progress. And based on the previous section explained by Julius, we processed the data into three sentiment class, which is the negative, neutral, and positive. We uh, we separate them by using the score value. This is the data distribution of each sentiment. And after we have the each class, we can create the word cloud from the all of the word in the review text from the dataset. From this word cloud, we can find and visualize the most frequent word used in the review. Like in all the data, the most used word in this case, with the product word, because all in the review there is so much product word used in the review. And for the process, we need to extract the review text and process the text, pre-process the text and clean the text, and then we tokenize the review string. We use the removal of HTML text from the review text, remove the special character from the text, and removing multiple space that contains in the text. After that, we lowercase all the words, and from the review text that have been cleaned, we use the TF EDF factorizer, and then from that we have the token factor of each sentiment. This is the result of this is the example of cleaning the review text. As you can see in the upper text, we have HTML text like this one, and we have also special symbol. And in the clean data, all the unnecessary text and data is removed. And for the classifier, we use for classifier, which is the random forest, logistic regression, and multinomial naive Bayes. And also we use the neural network classifier. And the objective is to create, train, and evaluate some classifier to predict the sentiment of the review text based on the review text that have been factorized. So we train the classifier, and this is the result of training. This is the result for the random forest classifier. We use the n estimator, or the number of tree equal to 128, and the overall accuracy of this classifier is 82%. And for the logistic regression classifier, we use the max iteration parameter 250, and we got the accuracy higher, which is 84%. And for the multinomial naive Bayes, we configure the classifier with default value, and we got 79% accuracy result. And for the neural network classifier, we create a deep neural network with the parameter of the number of layer is 3, which contains 64, 32, and 16 neuron. And we use the ReLU activation function and use some dropout layer. The overall accuracy of this classifier is 81%. And this is the method comparison table. As you can see, the logistic regression have the most better accuracy compared to all the classifier. And based on this experiment, we have the highest accuracy model using the logistic regression. And for the lowest accuracy is the multinomial naive Bayes model. There is some imbalance that happens on the dataset distribution that makes the precision of the minority class can achieve a higher precision like the majority class. So we need to perform oversampling or undersampling to to tackle this. And for the process of cleaning and tokenizing dataset, we need to perform the same tokenizer and cleaning on the inference process or the test process, and then we can use the pre-trained model for another text. This is the we have create a web app demo, so you can enter some review text, and then the model will predict the sentiment of your review text in the in the text that you have been entered. and then the model will return the prediction of your sentiment based on your text. This model can be accessed with this link, and the source code is provided in this link.
So for the conclusion, overall, Amazon Find Food did a good performance. In 77.9% customers gave Amazon a score of 4 or 5. On the other hand, there are around 14.5% customers who gave a score of 1 or 2. And based on our analysis, most of the customers, around 14.5%, gave a bad score to Amazon because of the taste, as we can see on the most common words in the negative data. So in our opinion, it is quite difficult to solve because according to us, taste is a preference. Everyone has their own preference. However, it is also possible to solve this issue, perhaps by improving the quality control. Core and review tags are good tools to evaluate the performance and also to know and analyze the issues and problems. So we also strongly recommend Amazon to see the scores and read the review text from the customers. That's all of our presentation for the final project. Thank you for your kind attention.